Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. And in today's video, it's probably going to be a fairly quick one because we're using almost the exact team with one change from Rotation 1. This is Rotation 2 of Hydra, and this is a 1-key Nightmare team. Currently, the hardest difficulty of Hydra. And I will certainly say, I think this rotation is one of the easiest ones. Rotation 2, it's our second time doing it. The thing that makes this rotation quite easy, although you've got a lot of damage coming at you with this initial set of heads, the fact that there's no Head of Decay in there that can cleanse makes it quite a bit easier. It makes it quite forgiving, and we still have the Head of Torment in here as well, which we can exploit with Inquisitor Shamail, which is what we're doing in this team. We do still, of course, have some provokes, though, to deal with Torment should he come around. So let's look at the team. What do we have? We've got Shamail over here, Inquisitor Shamail. No real surprise here. He's obviously extremely, extremely good. If I jump in, we're going to flip between the game, the recording, and me showing you these champions. I think it's actually an interesting way to do it. This is my Guardian set Shamail, so he's here to make our team tankier, and he's very simply built, really. He just has high HP, then he's got decent speed, 100% crit rate, he's got a bit of attack, bit of defense, bit of crit damage, not much. Very general sort of build, and these are his masteries. His goal really is just to provide us that passive to counteract the Head of Torment, provide some supplemental damage, whilst also helping our team stay alive with that Guardian set, because there is quite a lot of damage coming at us in this run. Next up, we've got Krisk, obviously. Needless to say, Krisk is just insane. Mischief tank, protecting our team with ally protection. I mean, you put out that ally protection. He puts it up permanently because he has it on a 3-turn cooldown and he extends the buff. So permanent ally protection effectively for your whole team. That's half damage to everyone on your team, and he just heals himself back up with all the continuous heals that he puts on himself, whilst also tanking Mischief, also bringing decreased speed, also bringing decreased attack and decreased defense. He just does it all. He's the best champ for Hydra. So he's coming in. He has obviously really high resistance accuracy, good speed, and then we've just picked up some defensive stats along the way. And his masteries are like so. So Krisk, absolutely MVP of this run. Next up we have Godseeker. Godseeker, oh look, he actually stole our buffs off Godseeker that time. Something must have gone wrong with Krisk. Oh well. With Godseeker, she is definitely the most replaceable champion here. She comes in, these are her masteries, and she's built in a regeneration set. She is built very generically, really. She's got very good defense, decent-ish speed, 100% crit rate, a bit of a generalist build. She'd probably do better being a bit more specialized for this, but it is what it is. I've been saying forever that I will re-gear her, but honestly, like at the moment at least, we're beating Nightmare Hydra every rotation now with usually using Godseeker, and she's working fine in this build. So I just, you know, if it ain't broke in a sense, don't fix it. But she's great. She's built like that. And yeah, she's certainly one of the more replaceable ones in this team. We already have the buff extension from Krisk. I just found that the extra buff extension from Godseeker just makes everything super smooth, super consistent, and that's generally what we're doing. Next up then we have Geomancer. He is in the lead. We all know what Geomancer can do, right? And I'm bringing in my Reflex Geomancer. So this Geomancer is my squishiest Geomancer, but because Krisk is there, he's totally fine, right? So he's got decent HP and defense, decent-ish speed. I'd actually like this to be a bit higher. I'm going to be trying to be glyphing this a bit higher to push him to like 230 or so. And then he just has good accuracy. He actually has a decent chunk of resistance, which is helpful. Once he lands the decreased accuracy with his A1, actually helps him stay alive because he does drop buffs a lot because he gets turn meter boosted. Yeah, he's in there in Reflex set, which just gives you the best return on your A3 as possible because we don't really use his A2 ever. And yeah, he just contributes a substantial amount of damage, absolutely tons of damage, helps the team stay alive with his passive redirecting damage, and also that decreased accuracy, really underrated, but that's what helps us big time survive against the Head of Blight because we don't have much healing on this team. Those poisons really do hurt. The decreased accuracy helps you get through. Next up we can see we're going to get a ton of damage out here right now. This is lovely. By the way, at this point, this is where we'd actually want to kill Head of... I actually do want to focus Head of Torment quite a bit, which is kind of really weird in a sense, but we want Head of Torment coming back. So you can see we didn't manage to kill Head of Torment before one of the heads respawned. We want to get as many chances as possible to respawn Head of Torment. It's really the key to this run working, is that you will easily enough be able to kill all 4 of the starting heads reasonably close together like this. You just need to ensure that Torment is going to respawn in one of those 4 heads to make it much, much easier, right? You get to about 15 million off the first 4 heads, get Torment coming back in, you can get another 15 million, and then you just need to come up with another 6 million to get through the other heads. So that's sort of the strategy right there. You can see we don't have him respawn. We actually have the 2 heads, Decay and Suffering coming in, that are the non-starting heads. So there you are. It's Nightmare, you know, it happens. It happens. Lydia, let's talk about Lydia. Here we go. Lydia, I just love her in combination with Krisk. I think they're really strong together. Lydia coming in, she's got really good resistance, accuracy, really good speed, just insane stats across the board. She's got crazy base stats, and obviously putting her in some of my best gear because Lydia is one of the best champs in the game, and her masteries are like this. She gives you that decreased defense, decrease weaken. There's Head of Torment coming back. She gives you that single target block buffs, which we'll use against Head of Wrath. That's actually quite important, right? Blocking the block debuff, blocking block debuffs, reflect damage, and increase attack on Head of Wrath makes things a lot more stable. Finally, we have Husk, and Husk is why did I bring in Husk? This is the one change. So last rotation I was using Royal Guard. This rotation I'm using Husk. Why have I brought Husk in instead? Well, a big part of it has to do with affinity, that he's a much better affinity for this rotation, both in terms of staying alive and doing damage. Now, I've actually glyphed him up a bit. You'll see when you watch this run that his accuracy is really low, so Husk can actually provide provoke against Head of Decay, which is very helpful. Him and Krisk together should be able to lock it down nearly all the time. Now, I was doing this run and I realized he's getting resisted every time. I'd forgotten to roll up his banner, and I've actually glyphed his accuracy since then. In fact, let me roll his banner up right now. Here we go, and you can see what his stats are going to be. Give us speed, defense percent, not quite as good. Got some light coins though, so that's fine. Going for that legendary book. So he's up at 271 accuracy now, which is still a bit low. I will have to glyph him up some more, some 6-star glyphs and whatnot. I was almost thinking about putting him in the support tree, but I don't think it's worth it. These are his masteries, by the way. But yeah, he is just in there. He's really fast, actually. 226. He's quite good. His crit damage is a bit low, but that's okay. He's super tanky. I'd love, if we get his accuracy up to like 300, he'd be able to provoke this Head of Decay quite a lot, which is great because then you can stop those cleanses, right? Krisk is a guaranteed provoke every 3 turns that Krisk takes. And then Husk can really fill in. And you just never use Husk's A3. So that's sort of the purpose of Husk. I think Husk is top tier for Nightmare this rotation. In fact, most rotations, especially this one, because his affinity is so good for so many of these heads. You can see in this particular setup of 4 heads right here, the only weak affinity is Head of Torment, and that's great because you don't want to kill Head of Torment usually. He's the one you want to keep alive as long as possible. So Husk weak hitting Torment is actually beneficial nearly all the time. Like, the only time it's bad is if Head of Torment eats Inquisitor Shamail and you need to kill Head of Torment quickly. That's very rare, though. Very rare to happen. But yeah, if you want to see the full VOD of this run, it's like 50 minutes long, but I do have it up for members of the channel. So if you want to support the channel directly, monetarily, down below, you can do that. And I try to put up some videos, like kind of longer behind the scenes footage type stuff for them. So one of them is this full run, so you can see all the decision making, whatnot. You can see, for example, with Krisk, saving Krisk's provoke for when these things are lining up, basically. Because we got Lydia providing increased speed, it means that when Krisk puts increased speed on everyone after he does his provoke move, that it's not going to screw you up, right? It's going to maintain an even keel of buffs. In fact, Krisk, because he gives himself increased defense, it turns his A3 into an extra source of buffs to make him even more consistent, tanking the Head of Mischief. And I guess, yeah, with Geomancer, typically speaking, the order of champs I'm going to be burning, I always burn Head of Decay first. I'm trying to kill off Head of Decay, just get rid of him. Because especially as I was going through this run and I realized that, hey, Husk doesn't have enough accuracy to provoke him. He is getting his cleanses off. He's by far the worst head. So trying to burn him always first. Second, Head of Blight is second priority. So Head of Decay, then Head of Blight. Third priority is usually going to be the Head of Suffering. Although if he's about to take a second turn, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to wait until he uses a second turn mechanic just to get the most uptime possible. Yeah, then probably Head of Wrath, then probably Head of Mischief. We don't want to burn Head of Mischief too much. One of the easiest way to wipe your run is if you get Head of Mischief too low and then Head of Decay gets a shield on Head of Mischief. That's really, really bad. You don't want that to happen. You can see right here, for example, I can't remember. I don't remember what I did. Let's actually see what happens here. I'm curious to see what happens here because Yeah, he's gonna... This could be potentially quite nasty, where Shamail's due to be eaten, and he's due to put a shield on someone, which is kind of like your worst case scenario. We'll see what happens. I don't remember. Obviously, we got through it. We did totally fine. But yeah, that's generally the priority with landing those burns. Generally the priority right there. And also, Head of Mischief runs through the burn really quickly. So yeah, he's usually the one I do last. And then I never burn Torment, pretty much ever. I'll only burn him at the very, very end of the run, where we're going to be wiping shortly anyway, in which case it's not really going to matter. I guess at this point I'm somewhat racing to kill Torment before Shamail is eaten, just so we don't have to deal with that. But you end up killing Torment real quick anyway. It's just something that happens. We'll see what happens. Here we go. So we got burns up on lots of them now. That's pretty good. Shamail's due to be eaten any second. One of the nasty things that can definitely happen is when they delay certain moves. Like, okay, right there, the cleanse is actually delayed. That's actually fine. And then we get the taunt out from Krisk. So that's how we got through that one, actually. The taunt out from Krisk prevents the shield going on. Didn't actually necessarily need to do it, but as you saw right there, we were racing to kill Torment for that safety. So there's always the possibility that Mischief would die, which he is going to do. And then we'd be in some real trouble. Going to reapply the burn right there. And this is actually looking really good. We should be able to kill, excuse me, these two heads alongside, or at least one of them alongside Torment to get Torment to respawn. We'll just see how this particular part ends up. But you can see, bam, 31 million at this point. Looking lovely. Always saving Krisk's taunt for in case Decay spawns in. You want to taunt Decay as soon as he spawns in. Look at that. We actually get Torment respawning, which is really lucky and makes this basically a free win. So you can see Decay's back in and blah, blah, blah. We come to the end, guys. Up to 62 million by the end. And boom. Hang on, let me go back here. Whoop. Let me go back slightly more so we can see. Lydia hanging on till the end. She's just so tanky. And there we go. These are the ultimate results. As you can see, 24 million damage from Geomancer. Really pumping out the damage. Obviously, all that turn meter boost from Inquisitor Shamail with all that Head of Torment spawning. Really, really helpful for us. Husk, 17 million. Really good, solid chunk of damage. And again, if you get his accuracy high enough, you kind of want like 300 plus. He will somewhat reliably provoke Head of Decay. You're going to miss a good few provokes, unfortunately, if Head of Suffering is out. But I think it's just so difficult to actually build Husk with good damage and still have enough, like 400 accuracy or whatever, or maybe 350, 360 to be super consistent when Suffering is there. And that's just a lot of accuracy. It's really difficult to do. Krisk, great. Godseeker, actually, she does put out some decent damage. Heals, provides the revive, that buff extension. Lydia and Krisk just so good together. And Shamail, of course, putting out, reasonable damage. You consider he's not built for damage really much at all. He is putting out good damage and helping us stay alive with that Guardian set as well. So there you go, 62.24 million damage. Nightmare, 1 key, rotation 2. This team works great. Like I said, the key really is you just need Torment to respawn within your first 4 heads. If he doesn't respawn, you can always give it a go, but you might want to restart your run. And certainly you don't need to go this long. Like we hit 1 key damage about half an hour in, and that's half an hour of manualing. 25 to 30 minutes of manual play. It's a big investment for sure. That this team can easily do it. It's very consistent rotation. Right, guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.